The latest quarterly shows you got 3.3 billion in cash, and I want to specifically hone in on how you're going to reinvest that. So I've always been taught you should invest counter-cyclically. How do you guys think about investing in a market where there's a potential structural change?
This is a good question. We're early into this cycle of strong proceeds into the companies. Then the question becomes, well, where do those proceeds go?
G'day, money miners. Friday, 4th of August. Trav, how you going?
Well done, mate. You're a bit too squawky for Matty. I think you got to get the lows, not the highs.
I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress. Trav, we've got a pretty exciting show in store for the money miners. Do you want to give them a bit of a run through?
We do indeed. We went to Pilgangoora yesterday.
We sure did. We even nabbed some time with Pilbara Minerals CEO Dale Henderson.
Mr. Lithium Australia himself, the Lithium King of Australia at the moment.
Yeah, he sure is, with 3.3 billion on the balance sheet, about a $15 billion company now. Things are going quite well for them. And it was a pretty good day. Big, hot, but learnt plenty along the way. What did you make of it all?
We absolutely did. We'll get to that. I've got to tease it, mate. We've got to tease it because other than that, we've also got. We've got to talk about today Trav's top tweets. That's to come after the Pilbara chat.
We do.
And I think we've got to let the money miners know what our plans are for diggers and dealers in case they don't already know.
Absolutely.
I'm heading there this afternoon, mate, off to Kalgoorlie. You and Matty are heading up on Sunday.
You couldn't wait till Sunday, mate. You're just too eager to get there.
I'm so excited.
So the money miners might have noticed that Matty Michael is off the desk today. He's got some BD to attend to. He's doing the hard yards for the business.
Playing golf,
so
I think.
It's Trav and I. And yeah, diggers. So we'll be set up at Bernales. We'll be there during the day, Monday, Tuesday. We'll see how we go Wednesday.
Potentially Wednesday. Not sure yet. Not sure. But definitely Monday, Tuesday.
Yep.
Business hours. We'll be there. Our cameras will be on. Microphones will be there. Come join us. Have a coffee. Have a beer with us. Bernales is a family-friendly pub, cafe, bar kind of vibe in Kalgoorlie on the main street, Hannon Street there. Come say good day to us.
That's it. Keen to hear what the word on the decline is.
Yes, that's what we want to know. You better bring some word on the decline if you're going to have a beer with us. Otherwise, we'll end up drunk and knowing no information at all. So
that's it. Trav, we've got a couple of people to thank for today's episode.
We do indeed. We've got a new partner, so I'm pretty excited about this one. Today's episode is brought to you by JP Search. Now, these guys are Xavier and Michael. They run JP Search, and it's they're recruiters, right? And they've sort of carved out a niche in a very specific space of the recruiting space. They service, investment banks, funds, family offices, management consultants, like corporates, the sort of world that that serviced me back when I was a banker. And I know they've got a few interesting mandates at the moment, mate. If I was still in finance and keen for another job and not having a crack at Money Mind Podcast, I'd be talking to Xavier and Michael because they've got a few interesting mandates which you won't find out about until you call them.
Awesome. Thanks, Xavier and Michael, for supporting the show.
Legends.
Alrighty. What did you make of the Pilgangoora site visit, Trav?
Wow, this was good, right? It was pretty awesome. So we got an invite to go along. It was a charter flight of 60 people, we were told. So it was a Fokker 100, Qantas flight, a bunch of research analysts, a bunch of fundies. And we got to go there, see what's happening at Pilgangoora.
I think we should also mention to the more junior money miners out there what this is all about. So a lot of the developers and the producing mining companies in and around diggers will set up analyst trips. They'll get, investors and research analysts from investment banks up to site, show them how everything's going. You get a bit of FaceTime with the CEO and those sorts of things and really get a bit more of a real world perspective to the company, right?
Absolutely. And you see a lot of these around diggers because it's an opportunity for the companies to take a lot of the East Coast people who find themselves in WA at this time of year, take them to the mine that's in the good part of Australia, WA.
That's it. And from my perspective, I mean, we met heaps of people along the way.
We did. It was so good to put some faces to the names in the sense of like we read a lot of broker reports out there, and it was pretty interesting to broker reports. You read their work, and also you dial into these analyst calls sometimes, and you hear them ask questions to the MDs. But you don't have any idea what they look like, or at least I didn't have much idea what these people look like. So it was actually a really cool experience to meet these people. What did you think of that?
Oh, completely agreed, mate. So I'm not sure how many of them want to shout out, but we'll rattle off a few names.
Yeah, mate, I met Timothy Hoff at Canaccord, Levi Spry at UBS.
Richard Knights at Barrenjoey.
Yeah, George Ross at Argonaut, old colleague of ours. It was good to have a chat with these research analysts, right? And there's a bunch of others out there.
Yeah, there's a couple of fundies too, maybe even less eager to get a shout out. So maybe we'll keep quiet on them. But yeah, there were a few funds there. Obviously, Pilbara is a pretty big name and the company that's done super well. So it attracts some investors naturally.
Yeah. And what about takeaways about the operation itself, JD, Pilgangoora?
I had a few. So first up, the whole trip was well run. And I think that just reflects well on the company itself. You know, everything ran smoothly, so they can give themselves a bit of a pat on the back for that. My second key takeaway was that having, you know, been spoken to by Dale and the likes at the company, you know, GMs of the actual operations up there, that doing this, you know, lithium processing is very different on a theoretical sort of level to enacting it in the real world, right? And they're doing it on a big scale. They're trying to get that P1000 up and running within the next couple of years, and that means they're going to be producing 1 million tonnes per annum of spodumene concentrate. So it's a lot of processing that needs to be done, right? Yeah,
absolutely. And that was pretty similar to my takeaway. It was just hearing the story of what commissioning looked like a little bit. It took them 18 months to, you know, really refine and optimize the process once material was going through the plant there. And it sounds a lot like that intellectual learning that they had there is, you know, that's something they're going to replicate as they grow. But it also sounds like a lot of learning that was done because they were early to this game, and it would be curious to see how you know, the developers that are coming online at the moment, if they can learn faster than Pilbara learn, or if they'll have, you know, similar challenges that they have to internally learn themselves.
Agreed,
it'll take a long time to get that commissioning right.
I mean, it just wasn't that long ago that this was a very different looking company. Just mid 2020, lithium prices were just a fraction of what they now are. This was pre them wrapping up Altura, the processing and deposit plant, just to the south of them. So things were looking very different just 3 years ago. So the growth has been phenomenal, and it's good to see the company remind themselves of the lessons learned. So hoping that nothing's been forgotten from the harder days.
You mentioned Altura there, and that was my other big takeaway about the Pilbara, is just how much unnecessary duplication there is. So Pilbara, they have 2 processing plants for those that aren't acquainted with the operation. And the second one, it was picked up because, you know, what was Altura was Pilbara, but I didn't properly appreciate that these are literally right next door to each other. It's sort of like right there.
Check it out on Google Maps.
It's quite hilarious. And the reason duplication was a bit of a theme is because on the bus from the airport to site, the bus drove over these train tracks twice, 2 sets of train tracks. And JD goes, did you notice that, mate? They had to build 2 sets of train tracks because people couldn't agree to share the same infrastructure in the iron ore.
This is capitalism, mate. Another takeaway, mate, is I would not want to be there in January. It was, you know, coming from 10 degrees in the morning, leaving Perth. And I don't know how hot it was, but it was pretty warm, right? So, you know, credit to the people working up there. It's not the easiest place to go and work. So
it wouldn't be the easiest place, but it certainly at least came across in the trip that we had that they have people who absolutely enjoy working there nonetheless.
Couldn't agree more. I reckon we rip the episode and give the Money Miners the interview with Dale Henderson, CEO of Pilbara Minerals.
Let's rip it, mate.
G'day, Money Miners. We're live from bloody Pilgangoora. We finally look at the high vis, boys. Have a look at it.
Unbelievable, mate.
Sensational. And we're with the top dog himself. And we appreciate the invite, mate. Dale Henderson, welcome to your own site.
Yes.
Thanks for having us, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks for welcoming me.
Well, we're live from the dry mess. Now, just a special request from me for next time. Can we do it live from the wet mess with a couple of schooners, possibly?
Yeah. Next time we'll arrange that. No problem.
Mate, we've just had a tour through the crush and the mill circuit and everything, essentially the whole Pilgangoora processing plant. I guess what I want to ask you, and my takeaway from it, is how this is designed, the capex that's gone into it for extra security to ensure that recovery with especially your tantalum circuit, your flotation circuit, compared to other companies that are going down the DMS only route. Is that a big driver of the Pilbara Minerals success that you're seeing?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're in the business of concentrating lithium and maximising the value out of the resource. And to achieve that aim, you need a capable processing plant with more levers to extract all of those 0.1% lithium improvements. You need a lot of other things as well, by the way, but a capable plant with more processing flexibility, more whistles and bells, and most importantly, a team who's got the skill sets in this area. That's what you need to maximise recovery from an ore body.
And yeah, I like your theory with the upgrade to the P1000. It really resonates with my underground mining methodology. Let's find what's worked already, and we're copying it and chucking it over there. Simple as that.
That's it. That's pretty much it.
Like software, mate.
Yeah, it's. But I think what's behind that is a long history of learning and optimizing our base operation. You know, we've had essentially 5 years of operation now, and during those 5 years, there's been a lot of evolution and improvement in the understanding of the ore body, the processing plant, and augmenting our processing plant. And through all of those learnings, there's a recipe, if you will, has been honed, and the recipe's great. So we're copy-pasting the recipe. We're bringing on a few new whistles and bells, which we know will be accretive as part of the upcoming expansions, and I'm looking forward to seeing those results in due course.
Val, I want to ask you about
these are the good questions coming up, mate. I'm just letting you know.
I want to ask you about the balance sheet now. So the latest quarterly shows you got 3.3 billion in cash, and I want to specifically hone in on how you're going to reinvest that. So something I've always been taught is in the commodity world, you should invest counter-cyclically. How do you guys think about investing in a market where there's a potential structural change for the commodity?
Yeah. This is a good question.
One of the dumb mining ones, mate.
I think the place to start with capital management is, we're really into this cycle of strong proceeds into the company. So our first capital management plan only came out December quarter last year, so the ink is barely dried on it. But importantly, since that time, quarter after quarter, really healthy returns, and all going well, that's set to continue. So then the question becomes, well, where do those proceeds go? And what we've been guiding around that is revisiting any capital management decisions later this calendar year. And at that time, we'll if there's to be a change, we'll speak to that then. To your query on investment in the industry and being counter-cyclic, it's an interesting space we're in. What we're seeing is a debate raging around where does the lithium industry head from here. September quarter, December quarter, everyone was saying, wow, this is incredible. Record prices. March quarter came, pricing fell significantly, and everyone said the world was over. June quarter, it's now leveled. And again, the question continues, well, what does the outlook look like? Well, for us, we're strong believers in the long-term outlook. We think there is a structural deficit between supply and demand. We think, however, there's probably going to be volatility. We think that because that's what we've experienced in the past. And if there's volatility, well, that could present some great opportunities. And Pilbara, well, we'd like to be ready if that presents itself.
That's interesting to hear. It's almost like retaining the cash is a view on preservation of optionality when it comes to deploying it, and that's not to speak. I mean, you've got other growth options which you're developing as well, right? All of these the downstream partnering process. There's the JV with POSCO, the P680,
yes.
the P1000. There's so many growth opportunities which we've heard all about. I think in the fourth pillar of your potential capital allocation is the evaluation of inorganic growth opportunities, and I'm kind of curious to understand if, when you look out at the landscape, is there any value out there in the inorganic growth opportunity space right now?
Is it the last bit for the reason of those venture things? Least attention?
Yeah, I think the key parameter everyone worries about is what's the long run pricing, and where does that head for the industry. Your view on that materially alters the view of what does value look like today across the board. So that's a key consideration we think about. The other key consideration we think about is is the value Pilbara brings to the table in terms of our know-how. That could have a material swing on what's possible with an asset. So those would be two key parameters. But I'd have to stress, as you noted, this is plank 4 of our strategy. We're in no hurry as it relates to inorganic growth. We've got a full plate of organic growth.
Come on, Dale, you've answered it like a true MD. I ask you if there's any value out there, and you tell me the factors that affect it rather than yes or no. But I'm particularly curious because good old John Stanning, my old boss, who's done plenty of lithium deals out there. I trust he'd be able to execute them if there were any opportunities out there. Is that why you hired Stano?
Well,
Shout out, Stano.
Stano's busy, as he should be. The question of what does value look like? You've got to get into project specifics to give that a fair answer, and I wouldn't want to do that.
Is there anything, or before you ask your final one, is there anything wrong with just the business model? You've got a 40-year mine life investing organically at Pilbara Minerals. Everyone thinks you have to spend this capital elsewhere. Is a solid model just being a high dividend paying stock?
It could well be, and there's this point you raised. It's not lost on us. Our priority one is thinking through what's the right decision for our shareholders in service of our vision, and that's what we continually ask ourselves as we think about our growth plans and what's the right next step for Pilbara. It's been this incredible growth journey. It's not often you get a company like ours founded by a couple of geos who, and here we are, ASX 50, the largest growth stock in the ASX 50 this last year. Like, just incredible, founded by a few geos. So with a lot of pride and caution, we think about where we take the future of the company.
Dale, I've got one more. I want to ask about business defensibility. So, Warren Buffett classically always looks for businesses with moats. And when I think of commodity businesses, you just think of your moat really as being lower on the cost curve than the majority of other producers, and that provides the defensibility. Do you, having gone through the site today, look at things like the processing plant and the sort of IP that you guys have developed, as well as potential things like tech advancements with yesterday's midstream announcement as potentially building that moat for the business? And is it something the market perhaps underweights?
Yeah, in terms of building the moat, being a low-cost producer has always been a key objective, and it's the best defence for commodity cycles, which obviously occur from time to time. And Pilbara bore that period in the last sort of lithium downturn. So that experience is not lost on us. We've continued to pursue initiatives to drive costs down, and we'll continue to pursue that. So the recovery uplift tech that we're pursuing, that all speaks to reduce costs ultimately on a unit basis. And we should be positioned to weather all those storms and enjoy a larger margin in the future. Is the market valuing it? Of course, I would say no. I think we're cheap. Of course, I'd say that. But I'll put the share price to the side. What we're focused on is making the right investments to further improve the company, and I think we've got a good lead on many of the competitors.
One more from me, Dale, and it's just in relation to I look at the criteria you lay out in the partnering process you're undertaking right now, this downstream partnering process. And I think the one that I'm most curious about is the alignment to government support. A huge sort of wave impacting commodity spaces right now is the impact that the IRA and similar policies elsewhere are having. How thoughtful are you about choosing a partner that is ultimately going to ensure there is IRA compliance involved, i.e., is it an absolute line through partnering with a Chinese downstream partner?
At this stage, we're open to all options.
Loves answering a question without answering it.
I just knew you were anticipating what I was going to say. But we are early in the process. We are. We wouldn't want to rule out anything at this stage. But to the point on government subsidies and understanding to the extent that we can realise that value, it's not easy to make that determination right now. In the case of the IRA, there's still a lot of clarification required, and And what we see and hear is it looks like there'll be continued evolution on that. And, we hear about different jurisdictions which may or may not come into that or not. So we're alive to that. And we're also obviously alive to other governments whom seem to be waking up and thinking about more support. So we're very conscious of those. And I'd probably just also add that these types of deals we're looking at, and the likes of what we did with POSCO, they're a multi-decade commitment, and we've only got so much ore in the ground, so we've got to get that decision right. And if that means we take a little bit more time to think this through, then so be it. We need to make sure that those investment decisions really count.
And before Matty rounds it out, I'm just curious to know, since Sano started in the office, have you noticed the hand sanitizer in Glen 20 runs out about 4 times faster than it used to?
It's funny you mentioned that. I have had to pick up Stano's little hand sanitizer
It's very
bottle.
COVID friendly, your workplace.
He's very disciplined on that front, and good on him. Yeah.
Right, beautiful. Vaughnie, thanks for setting this up, mate. Vaughnie from 5 Mark, mate. We'll send you the invoice for that plug. People pay a couple of grand for that these days. Mate, Dale, thank you very much for having
Thanks,
us, mate.
mate. Cheers.
We really
Appreciate
appreciate the
Thanks for your time,
opportunity.
Dale.
Cheers.
And especially
Thanks
the
very much.
special one-on-one time, mate. So,
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, no,
No.
anytime you want us up here, just let us know. I'll come up by myself if I need to.
You're welcome anytime.
Good on you, mate.
Cheers, Dale.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Henry.
All right, Trav. Top tweets. What have you got this week?
Oh, Trav's top tweets. Oh, we're gonna play the music, don't I? Because Matty loves this one.
Do it.
Trav's top tweets. Oh, mate, it gets better every single time. Even when Matty Michael's not here, we still got his beautiful voice in our ears. Very exciting.
All right, take us from the top.
All
Number
right,
4.
mate, Trav's top tweets. We ready? Number 4 top tweet of the week goes to Jordan. Twitter handle at geologo_trader. Jordan, he shares some insight on what he reckons makes a good geologist. For all of the punters out there, Jordan, he says, geologist is a funny profession. Glorified are the ones that know everything about the science. The trade-off is they usually know little about the dollars and people management. The best ones for a company are the all-rounders. Very hard to come by. I agree, Jordan. But I think there's one more criteria that I really look for in a geo, and I love it. I look for a geo that is naturally cynical, one that looks at everything with questioning eyes. Because when you think about it, the career prospects for a pessimistic geologist are just awful. You need to be an optimist as a geologist. You need to be promotional. You need to sell the story. That's how capital markets follow you. Because we're humans, right? And it's the cynical ones that I love because they're going against the grain of what it's going to take for their careers to really progress. And I think when you pay attention to the cynical geologists, that's where you get a bit more signal than noise.
That one really speaks to you, hey?
It does. I love the cynics.
Alrighty, number 3.
Number 3, top tweet goes to a first-time ranker. It's our favourite Canadian wannabe Australian that speaks in third person and lives in a eucalyptus tree. The koala. Twitter handle at Yellow Lab Live. You'll see the koala's very temperamentally grounded tweet that came post the Albemarle investment into PMET. He tags us and he says, so at Money of Mine Pod, at Outside Capital, and any other PMET bears/skeptics or actual shorts. Anyone want to talk about the fucking lake, time, value of money, or cross sections now? The koala is all ears. Well, koala, I don't really want to talk about any of those things anymore. No. Let the market and Albemarle be the determinant of value for what looks to be a huge and exciting lithium discovery. With cross sections out and a vote of confidence from a major, there is no denying that the investment proposition is more de-risked now than a week ago. And JD, if the koala can see that our objective in our coverage of PMET was to simply highlight the risks that we saw punters overlooking, we welcome you on our show. Number 2, top tweet of the week. This one goes to Mondi, not his first time ranking, JD. He's been on the podium a few times and I think he's a pretty clever guy. So Mondi, at Mondi Invest on Twitter, he says, never before have so many been so bullish and yet been completely rogered by so few, #copper. And he also tags 29 Metals, Astral, Aries, Coda Minerals and Cyprium in their respective handles on Twitter. I think Mondi really aptly taps into the disappointment we have had in the copper names on the ASX. JD, the investable universe doesn't feature the same quality that we see in the North American exchanges. We've talked about that numerous times with various guests.
Yeah, that list of companies doesn't scream quality, does it?
It doesn't, unfortunately. And it's the companies that he lists there, they've been hit pretty hard, right? Their investors must at some point, though, were probably persuaded by the thesis that you hear thrown around a lot. There's not many copper names on the ASX. That money's got to flow somewhere. So invest in us or invest in this company, right? But you look at those ones that he's listed, 29 Metals down 75% from their high, Astral down 70% from their high, Aries down 72%, Coda down 85%, Cyprium potentially down 100%. I mean, they've been suspended from quotation since February. It might come back on the boards, but it looks ugly.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well, does it?
Can we get some good copper names on the ASX, mate?
Mate, Metals Acquisition Corp is listing soon.
Oh, okay. Number one, top tweet of the week.
Number one, what do you got?
All right, this one goes to a reply to another tweet. And the winner happens to be an ASX company MD. So let me just set the context for you. The head tweet before the comment is from Spodumene Hunter at Spodumene Hunter, who, funnily enough, similar to the koala, felt the need to call me out in a PMET tweet on Tuesday.
Another friend of the show.
Well, we actually might be friends now because yesterday he tagged me in a tweet all about my favourite kind of stuff, red flags. And I think he was just notifying me to kindly let me know rather than to publicly shame me this time. So appreciate that one, Spodumene Hunter. However, you're not the winner of the top tweet. It instead goes to someone else. But I'll read out your tweet first, Spot Hunter. He says, does anything scream more red flag than putting a photo out in a shareholder update with a bloke in desert camo pants and an AK-47 overseeing the drill out of lithium bearing pegmatites? At Trav Money of Mine, #Africa, #Sovereign Risk, #AK-47. How would you describe this photo, JD?
Oh. Sort of speaks for itself. Drill rig in the middle, back to the camera, AK-47 slung on the shoulder. It might be a bit tougher to attract some workers there, right?
Oh, I don't know. Everything's got a price. So I look at this and I thought that was pretty funny. Thanks, Spot Hunter. But I went to the comment section, and this is the winner of the top tweet of the week. It goes to Alex Rivera with this 3-letter reply. He responds TIA, which of course stands for This Is Africa. But it's the picture in his tweet that cracks me up. And audio listeners, I really apologise that you won't be able to appreciate this worthy winner because I simply cannot describe this picture in a way that does it justice. But if I tried to, just imagine 7 people sitting around what looks like a school bench in Africa. In the middle is Alex Rivera, dressed in a black suit, black tie, shiny black shoes. Honestly, like it looks like he's about to spread the good word, door knocking as a Jehovah's Witness. That's almost what it looks like, right? And either side of Alex, what do you see? You see on each side there's 3 separate, African military people, and their body language is so casual. They're just relaxed, they're chilled. So chilled, in fact, that the person sitting directly next to him has an AK-47 just resting on the lap. And there's Alex sitting in the middle, grinning, chin, just grinning, smiling so hard. It looks hilarious. I think it's an awesome photo. TIA indeed, Alex. I hope you stick to Menzies from now on, mate. Well done.
Good stuff, Trav.
Oh, that's a wrap, mate. So thanks again to all of our brilliant partners that we've got. We've got Anytime Exploration, Terra Capital, and JP Search. Thanks for your support, and we look forward to seeing all the money miners that are in Kalgoorlie at Diggers come along to Debo's. We'll be there.
We sure do, mate. Hootaroo.
Hootaroo.
The information contained in this episode of Money of Mine is of general nature only and does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. Before making any investment decision, you should consult with your financial advisor and consider how appropriate the advice is to your objectives, financial situation, and needs.